So, which one permutation or combination? Which one permutation or combination means that there's some sort of order to it? Permutation, okay? So, anytime there is any type of order you think you're going to have, make sure your phones are away, please. Anytime you think there's going to be some sort of order to it, no matter how significant or not, it's going to be a permutation, okay? So, 2.1 running through. Is everybody okay with problem number 1, all the calculator stuff? Hey, why would on letter F, why was it no solution or empty set? Because why?
Want it to be?
Want it to be? It is because your first number, you can't say, I have 5 items, how many ways can I choose 7 of them? Or, so that it just won't work. So that's why it's an empty set on F. And then number 2, A choose A choose 0. Those are both 1 for an answer. But AP1, if you go through the equation, you'll see that the answer should just be A. Letter A, 3A, says pizza chain offers 12 different toppings. How many 3-topping pizzas can be chosen? Is there any kind of order that we're talking about putting these toppings on? No. So it's going to be a combination. So 12, choose 3, which I believe is 220. Okay. Letter B, I actually want letter B 3 different ways. So pizza chain offers 12 different toppings, 3 different styles of crust, and 4 different sizes. How many pizzas can be created? So if you're doing just 1 topping pizzas, it's 12 times 3 times 4. If you're doing anywhere from none of the toppings to 12 of the toppings, and anywhere in between, it's 12 factorial times 3 times 4. And then, or if you chose that, you're like, well, how many toppings? And you chose to do above with the 3 toppings, you could go 12, choose 3 times 3 times 4. So any of those I think are okay to do. We didn't, to me when I first looked at it, I was like, oh, they must be talking about 3 topping pizzas. But then as I looked at it a little bit further, it didn't have an indication that that's how it was supposed to fly. Letter C, you have first, second, and third prizes are awarded to 18 people for an art contest. Is there an order to these? Yes. Yeah, first place is different than third place, right? So it's going to be 8P3, which is 4,896. And I helped a couple of you on letter D, and I think I was wrong. I think it's got to be permutation. I think so. And this is why, especially after talking to baseball players, order is very important in the batting order. So that's why we need to say that the batting order from 17 players, it's got to be 17 permutation 9, which yields you, God bless you, 8,821,612,800 different ways those 17 players on your team can be arranged. Yeah.
What if you don't know anything about baseball?
Well, that's why, because we're talking about, it says 9 players selecting to put it in a batting order. So the word order means that we will have first batter, second batter. This wouldn't be like we have 17 people on our team. We're just going to play 9 of them. We're not going to say who's going where. We're just going to play 9. So all 17, only 9 of your guys are going to play. So go with that. Yeah.
What was the answer to that one?
8,821,612,800. Big number. Smaller than the national debt. Alex, my commercial order. John would never talk. It's sometimes. How many ways can a band select 8 songs out of their 13 to be written on a CD? Do we worry about which songs first, second, third, fourth? No, we just want to have 8 of our songs put on the CD of the 13. So it's going to be a choose, so 13 choose 8, so 1,287 different ways. How many ways can a band in a group of 8 songs out of it 13 they have written or arranged So now we're arranging them. There's a certain order that we want them on. Okay, so that's 13P8, which is 51,891,840. Letter G, how many seating assignments? So the key there is assignments. Okay, so I'm going to have some sort of, I'm going to be up on the board. Here's where I want you to sit. There's an assignment taking place. Okay, if there were 25, or if there were 22 of you coming into a classroom of 25, and I just said it's open seating, I'm not putting you in an arrangement. You are choosing that. So being that we are assigning, we're going to go with permutation. So it's 25P22, which is 2.58 times 10 to the 24th, which is a bunch. How many different ways can the letters of Texas be arranged? Thanks, Sunshine. Perfect. How many ways can the word be arranged? Arranged, is order important? So permutation, how many different letters are in the word Texas? 5. So it's 5P5. I don't have the answer to that. 120, I think is the answer. Let's see. Lauren, where are you at? Good news is you're still with me in my class. So letter H is 5P5, which is 120. Or it could be 5 factorial if you went that way. On the back side, why is permutation greater than combination? Combination, remember you have an extra division. Something extra in the denominator for combination. Number 5, your sweet playlist of 9 songs on it. If you play the songs in random order is what? How many different ways can the list be played if the songs don't repeat? Is there an order to it now? They're not repeating. So 9P9 or 362,880. Of the possible arrangements above, how many of them are simply in alphabetical order of song title? There's only one way they're in alphabetical order, right? I guess you could order it saying, well, alpha order could be ascending or descending, so I guess there could be 2 ways, but, I think I would take either of those. Then letter C, what is the probability that it's played in alphabetical order? Well, there's one way out of 362,880, so whatever 1 over 362,880 would be. So the probability, or the chance. In a class of 14 boys and 12 girls, how many ways can 2 boys and 2 girls be chosen to go on a field trip? Well, you have 14 choose 2, because you don't have first or second choice, times 12 choose 2. So the boys are 14 choose 2, and the girls are 12 choose 2. So that's 6,006 different ways you could choose 2 kids, either 2 boys and 2 girls from the 14 and 12 boys and girls, in order to go there. Number 7, assume that high school has 120 students, 30 from each class, freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. 20 students from the school will be chosen to attend a statistics conference. Oh, that sounds like a rock star show right there. How many ways can the group be chosen if? Okay, letter A, the administrators select any of the kids. Select any of the 20 students to go on the trip. It's going to be 120, so 120 total students. Choose 20. So 120 choose 20. We're not worried about first place, second place, stuff like that. So that's 2.95 times 10 to the 22nd power. That'd be a lot. Letter B, if the administrators select exactly 5 students from each class, how many students are in each class? 30. There's 120 total. There's 30 in each class. So we're not worried about first, second, and third place here. We're just saying, okay, we're going to take 5. We're going to take 5 from each class. So you have 30 choose 5 times 30 choose 5 times 32 choose 5 times 30 choose 5, which, if you multiply that all together, it's going to be enormous. Letter C, if the administrator select 10 students from the senior class and the remaining 10 from the other class, so you have 30 choose 10, that's going to be for your senior class, and then you have 90 students left that you're going to choose 10 more out, so you're going to go times 90 choose 10, so 30 choose 10 times 90 choose 10 is 1.72 times 10 to the 20th. And the administrators decide to use 20 students from one class, freshman or sophomore or junior or senior. So you're going to go 30 choose 20 plus 30 choose 20 plus 30 choose 20 plus 32 choose 20, which is 120,180,060 different ways you could choose to go on that trip. Okay, so if there's any type of order, that means something. Batting order, finishing a race, alphabetical order, things like that, it's going to be permutation. If you're going to do the probability or anything, it's 1 over whatever those would be. Okay? That's what we got. Is there any questions from those? They're easy to wring your head around. Just remember where to find permutation combination on your calculator. It's under the math, right? And then you go over to PRB. But if you use combination or permutation on the calculator, what do you need to have first? Yeah, the first denomination. Good. So if it was 10P5, you'd go 10, and then you go math, arrow over to PRB, and then for probability, and then you go down to the NPR or the NCR, and then you enter, and then you put your last one in. Okay? Some values too big for the calculator? Yes. A lot of times you're going to have to put in scientific notation. If you see the E, that means it's at 10 to the whatever power. So please don't ignore the E. Your calculator didn't make an error. Okay? So, moving on to our notes in 2.2. What is the difference between permutations and combinations? What's the difference? Order is important on permutation, right? So, if I've designated president, vice president, or first and second place, or 2 different places, if I have some sort of order to it, it's going to be a permutation. Combination doesn't need to take place. There's more permutations of an event than there are combinations. Why is that? Because the combination, you divide by an extra denominator. Okay? So example 1, 5 people. And so this is going to go a lot along with what we've worked on with the last one. So it's going to sound a lot familiar, but it's just because this stuff can go, wrap your head around it, it gets goofy. So 5 people are in a club, and 3 are going to be on the planning committee. How many different ways can the committee be made? Is it permutation or combination, first of all? Why is it combination? Yeah, I'm just looking for 3 people to represent. I'm not looking for 3 people that are going to go in some sort of order. I'm not looking for, person 1, 2, or 3, president, vice president, treasurer. So it's going to be 5, combination 3, which comes out to 10. Okay. How can we make permutations to this problem? What's an idea? Yeah. There you go. Of those 5 people, the 3-person committee, we're going to have a president, we're going to have a vice president, we're going to have a treasurer. We have to give some significance to the 3 people that are being chosen, or label, or title. Okay? So, as we move down, we're going to go APA. So, by definition, the permutation definition, I got to look it back up because I'm always goofy on these things, I'm sorry. So NPR is equal to n factorial over n minus r factorial. NCR is n factorial over n minus r factorial. and then there was one more part to it. What was the other part? What goes down here? An r factorial. Okay? So, APR, or APA. A is representing anything. On top, I have a factorial. Agree? What do I have on bottom if n minus r takes place? Which is a minus a, which is 0. And what is 0 factorial? 1. So what's the answer to this? No. A factorial. Okay? So then I have AP1. What is AP1 going to be? So I have a factorial, a minus 1, what do you think? Is that okay to leave it like that? Or does it reduce down? So the one trick on this one is this is by definition the trick to it, but I know if I went a times a minus 1 factorial, that's the same thing as a factorial. And then if this goes over a minus 1 factorial, what cancels? A minus 1 and the factorial. So what's the answer to this one? Just a. Does that make sense? So again, that's the trick that on your calculator, if you plug it in and the number's too large, then you have to start realizing that 10 factorial is the same thing as 10 times 9 factorial. And 10 factorial is the same thing as 10 times 9 times 8 factorial. And 10 factorial is the same thing as 10 times 9 times 8 times 7 factorial. So on and so forth. That's an important part to remember with factorials. It's always one less. How do you get to one less? You subtract 1 from your starting point. AP0. AP0. So I know I have a factorial on top. What is a minus 0? A minus 0. A minus 0. A. So this becomes a. So what's a factorial over a factorial? 1, like you're saying. And then 1PA will only work if our A value is 1 or 0. It's not going to work any other way. So our A value has to be 1 or 0 in order for it to work. That's the same with on the other one, the 1CA. Your A value has to be 1 or 0 there. And then if I go, what's BCB? BCB, we're using this one. If I use BCB, I get 1 for an answer. If I did AC1, A factorial, that's just going to give me an answer of A. If I work through, AC0 is 1. And then I just talked about that last one. Okay? Okay. Combination, permutation. Permutation, if we have some sort, we know there's some sort of order that means something. Whether it's obvious, we have to use the permutation. If order is not important, combination. In order to find the probability of certain events, it's 1 over those. I give you a brief look at how and why Vegas built itself. Does anyone know how to find the odds? Okay, this is just a side note. Okay, in order to find the probability of event, it's 1 over whatever the outcome. In order to find the odds of event, it's the probability it will over the probability it won't. So you get a fraction over a fraction. Fraction over a fraction, we know you multiply by the reciprocal of the bottom, which is the flip over. A little too much talking back there. So, what is the probability? How many different outcomes could take place on a set of dice? 2 dice. How many outcomes? How many combinations of the dice are there? 36. So what would the probability be? What would the probability of rolling a 7? Remember, that's the diagonal. It's 6 by 6. So the diagonal has how many numbers? It's 6 by 6. That gives us 36 outcomes. How many numbers are on the diagonal? 6. So the probability of rolling a 7 is 6 out of 36, which is reduced. 1 out of what? 1 out of 6. Okay. If I wanted to find the odds, this is what is a fair payout. If I wanted to find the odds of this, looking at this, what is the probability I don't roll a 7? 30 out of 36. So not 7 is 30 out of 36, which reduces to what? 5 over 6. So then the odds of this would be probability of me rolling a 7 is going to be this. Flip over the reciprocal, so I get 1 over 6 times 6 over 5. So, a fair game payout on a 7 is for every dollar you bet you would win $5. So for every dollar you bet, if you were to bet a 7 comes up, if you bet $1 and it was a fair odds game, they would pay you $5 for every time it comes up. So theoretically, in an infinite amount of events, you would come out as even money. Vegas doesn't pay 1 to 5. They pay 1 to 3. So for every dollar you bet, you could win $3 if a 7 comes up. So they've changed the odds on the payout table. They made it in their favor. So they're paying out a lesser amount on the odds of the game. And that's how the casinos have done it. If you think about it, how many times do you think a pair of dice would be rolled a night at any given casino? And that's a tremendous amount. Okay? Being that the payout is not the same ratio as the fair odds would be, the casino or the house will make money. Is there somebody who might have a better throw of dice? Yeah. Is it every person every time? No. Okay? So, if you ever go and you see how casino games work, you will realize that the payout is nowhere close to what the fair odds on the game would be. Okay? This would be like if you were playing Monopoly. Every time you pass go, you get $500, but every time your friends pass go, they get $200. Theoretically, you should win the game because you're getting more money upon each time of passing go. I realize, if you're like most people, you're going to try and get Park Place and Boardwalk with hotels. Because that's a lot of money when that's all set up. Unfortunately, the probability of you landing in those spots is a lower probability than any other place. The red properties have the highest probability you land on them. So if you're ever playing Monopoly, get the Illinois ones. Those red properties, those are the best properties to have as far as rolling dice go. Okay, so that was just a side note on probabilities and odds. So why does Vegas win? Because they changed the payout table on the odds of the game to be in their favor. All right, on the back page it says take letters A, B, and C. A, B, and C. How many different ways can you rearrange these letters? Okay, so how many ways could you rearrange these letters? That's 3 factorial, which is 3 times 2 times 1, which is 6. There's 6 different ways that you could rearrange these letters. So think about it. 3 letters. You have ABC. You have ACB. And up to 6 more combinations of that. But what if letters were to start repeating? Does that change things? Could we have AAA all the way to CCC and everything in between? Absolutely. How are we going to change that? We're going to change our repeater. So in our first guess, we're going to have this, 3 factorial, which is 6. Okay? And then your next one to come out will be 2 factorial to go with that. 3 factorial is the same thing as what? 3 factorial or 3 times what? Yeah, that's the same thing as 3 times 2 factorial. What's going to cancel out? 2 factorials. What's my answer if we repeat? 3. Okay? Let's go to a little bit better better example. Theoretically, is there any difference between the E's up on the board? I realize I'm not the best scribe, but if you look at the letter E on the keyboard of a computer and you hit it, and then you hit another one, do you really see any difference between the 2 E's unless you change the font or gave the caps or not? So does everyone agree that they're the same? So how many ways could you rearrange these 5 letters? I can arrange them as 5 factorial. Do I have a repeater? Okay, so I have E that's repeated. So there's 2 of those letters are being repeated, so I'm going to do this. I know that 5 factorial is the same thing as 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 factorial over 2 factorial, which that cancels with that. I get 5 times 4, which is 20. 20 times 3 is 60. There are 60 different ways that you can rearrange those letters. We are counting that E is used twice, so we're going to go with that. Okay? Last example. M-I-S-S-I-S-S-I-P-P-I. How many total letters are up there? 11? I have 11 total letters here. So I have 11 factorial. Does M repeat? Nope, so let's not worry about that. Does I? How many times does I repeat? 4 times, so I get 4 factorial. Does S repeat? How many times? How much? Does P repeat? How many times? Okay? Let's see if we can figure this out. So I have 11 times 10 times 8, or times 9 times 8 times 7, 6, 5, 4 factorial. What's going to cancel out for now? That cancels one of those. So let's break it up. Can 11 break down any further? No. What about 10? 10 is what and what? 5 and 2. Let's put that. 9 is 3 and 3. 8 is 2, 2, 2. And 7 is as is. 6 is 2 times 3. 5 is 5 and 1. So that's all the numbers on top. 4 factorial is 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. I'm not going to worry about the 1. 2 factorial is 2 times 1. So this is a method of going through it so your calculator can handle it. I realize that 11 factorial divided by 4 factorial, 4 factorial, 2 factorial is not going to be that great. But this is a way to go through it. So I'm going to start reducing it. 2 cancels with a 2. This 2 cancels with another 2. This 3 cancels with this 3. And I guess I should break that 4 down to 2 times 2. So that 2 will cancel that 2. That 2 will cancel that 2. So everything on bottom cancels out, leaving me with 1. So do the rest of the math. For the calculator, 11 times 2 is 22, times 5, 110, times 3, 30, 30, times 3, 990, times 7, can't do it. What's 990 times 7? Times 5? Say that one more time. 34,600 exactly. So 34,600. Oh, this is a 34650. Thank you. Okay. So that's all of the different ways that you can rearrange the word Mississippi, and you're accounting for the repeated letters as well. Okay? What do you think? Impossible? No. Order means something. Which one? C or P? P. Order, if there's some sort of arrangement that means something, it's got to be a permutation. Combination, we don't have to order that matters. Okay? So the worksheet 2.2, front and back of this, will be due next time. Guys and girls, if you don't have a calculator with you, like if you knew that it was supposed to be 28, choose 24, or 28, permutation 24, you can leave it like that. We can work it out later. But you got to make sure you do have a calculator that has it. Find those permutation keys on there, and you should be just set. And I'm done talking.